heavy trucks, 10 tires and above, trailers, fuel bowsers, with tank trailers, semi-trailers, flatbeds, etc., etc. These are the trucks that transport essential food items to the extremities of our country and from the extremities of our country to the capital. And naturally, whatever charges are levied on that category, they impact very heavily on the cost of living of ordinary people. So it is not a matter that we can take lightly. So we engaged, and I'm very pleased to observe that the Union of Motor Drivers and General Transport Workers appreciated our concern just as much as we appreciated theirs. They went back, reflected on their own, and came back to me with a document indicating their own proposals as to how they would like to see Group 5 dealt with in the new dispensation. And I want to implore the union, the executive of the union, to please make this document public to the nation. It has come from you out of your own free will, not out of coercion or otherwise. This is good governance. We've given you an opportunity to look at the problem yourselves, to appreciate the competing interests involved, and to come up with something which you consider to be a compromise that is acceptable to all concerned, as well as the consumers. And we on our part in Parliament will take due note of this document that you presented to us when we come to consider the proposals that are laid on the table of this House. I want to give you that assurance that this is an essential factor that the Committee on Works will take into account. Having said that, let me end my brief remarks by saying again that we appreciate this agreement in the context of it being ongoing, in the context of it being valid, and therefore binding on the state of Sierra Leone as well as on the other party, the CRSG. And there is no attempt by anyone to undermine the validity of that agreement. Our concern is to make sure that everything that is contained in the agreement is complied with, is acted upon. And that is why we cannot take an immediate decision here. Instead, we are remitting this matter to the committee of this House that is going to focus on the agreement in detail and come up with recommendations before we set a date for the ratification of the new chapters. So I hope I speak for the House as a whole. And I hope, Mr. Minister, I also speak on behalf of the government you represent, that together we will give this matter the consideration it deserves in the best interest of the parties and in the best interest, the best overarching interest of our country. So I will end by asking you most kindly to give us time to consider your proposals before this House and to let the government know that we are as concerned as you, as they are. That we know time of the essence, but to allow us to communicate properly, discuss properly, delve into the nitty-gritty of what is involved, summon you and your colleagues to come and justify why it must be X and not Y, etc., etc. We are not saying we're going to keep your document till doomsday, but we cannot give you a time now as to when we will finalize our consideration. But we will give due diligence to this matter in the best interest of our nation. I hope what I have said resonates well with both sides of this House. Let me stop there. It's quite possible that leader of government business may wish to add a word or two, followed by the leader of the opposition.
20%. I'd like to end by saying, after the leader of the opposition.
Fine, thank you.
Call for review of contracts.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, primary responsibility here is to seek the interest of the masses. We are here as a result of the fact that people came together, they imposed confidence on us and supported us to be in Parliament. So we should find at any given point in time ourselves in a position where we advocate for these people. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, this issue, like you said, is of public interest. And similarly, we don't intend to discourage investors coming in to invest in our country. because the manner in which you treat one investor would also scare away other investors. We, as a parliament, should ensure that in as much as we are protecting the rights of people and we are making life very easy for them instead of being very difficult for them, we should also ensure that we do not scare away investors' confidence to invest in our nation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we have seen what was presented in CRLSG, and we as a parliament would ensure that we digest it very properly, so that at the end of the day we have a win-win situation where the people will be happy, the investors will be happy, and the stakeholders also will be happy. I want to believe, because as a parliament we owe that to our nation and we owe that to the people of this nation. So I want to share sentiment with most of the points you made, that we as members of parliament from the opposition, and I in total agreement with most of what you said in your statement. You made mention of the vehicles that use that transport essential goods for the average Sierra Leonean. That is very, very much important, Mr. Speaker. It's very, very much important, and it's a concern. You know, like you said, we on this side of the aisle want to make it very easy for our people, and we believe in your leadership of this. Yes, when I say this side, I mean we are in agreement with that other side, because we are in parliament. Yes. The leader of government is also in agreement with what I'm saying. So we are talking as a parliament. Opposition plus governance is the parliament. So like we said, we are in total agreement that due consideration must be given. That was why initially I tweeted that any agreement that was passed in this parliament must not be changed without the approval of this parliament. That shows that the parliament is very important, and the parliament is the key stakeholder in any decision making, especially when it comes to review guidance that was passed by this parliament. So once more, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you, and I want to assure you of our total commitment in making this. So, Mr. Leader of Government Business, if you gave me an opportunity to say what I said before you, this is what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As I said, I want to borrow some of the words from you, that there are categories that we need to take into consideration seriously as a state, because we cannot go back and do things not the appropriate way. So there are three areas that I want to draw the attention of my colleagues. As said by my honorable colleague on the other side, honorable leader of the opposition. In consideration, we have to look at the state. Into consideration, we have to look at the people. Into consideration, we have to look at the investors. We have an existing agreement, and the sovereign agreement too. We cannot just put it under the table. But as a nation, we have to pay attention to the three categories I've stated. And Mr. Speaker said, we are only here because of our people. And we can only progress as a state to talk about very good economy if we encourage the investors and the state to carry out the business. So, Mr. Minister, we want one other category of the state. We want to say thank you for considering us to bring your agreement for us to review. And Mr. Speaker, in as much as we have put them in abeyance, that is the Speaker's ruling, which cannot be challenged in the chamber. I want to entreat my colleagues in going back to the Constitution why we do ratify these documents. Section 40, subsection 4, Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I just want to read that paragraph. It's long, but I will just read a section of it. If you have a Constitution, take a look. Provided that below then below the category they have stated, the last paragraph under section 44, provided that treaty, agreement, or convention executed by or under the authority of the president, which relate to any matter within the legislative competency of Parliament, or which in any way alters the laws of Sierra Leone, or imposes any charge on or authorities expenditure out of the consolidated fund or any other fund of the Sierra Leone, and any declaration of war made by the president shall be subject to the ratification by Parliament, by an act of Parliament, or by a resolution supported by the vote of not less than 1/2 of the members of Parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, there are so much authority given to Parliament. We are not trying to exacerbate our authority. We are trying to work within the authority given to Parliament. And we are also not trying to misuse the authority. As I said, the rule is final. So, we seek to ratify this document to Parliament because of this provision in the Constitution. We want the public to note that. So, we are happy to take the cue from you, what Honorable Abukabu said. Any alteration must come to Parliament for ratification. And already, in the week minister, something has been altered. The charge that was levied in 10, Article 10, Mr. Minister, right? That's talking about the different categories. They have agreed to alter them. As he said, Mr. Speaker, we want to say thanks to the minister for thinking in a positive direction, in the trajectory that all of us must be on the same page in the interest of the state. That is where we have decided to take these moves. There are so many allegations, Mr. Speaker. We put some of them that are not true when we are in the committee stage and when we are in stakeholder meetings. Some actually follow by the dictate of the agreement. We ignore, Mr. Minister, some of the text, our obligations expressly stated in the agreement. I want to say thank you for you drawing our attention to the agreement when you are making your presentation. I also want to draw the attention of colleagues, those who are not here, and the Transport Union. We are very concerned about Group 5, which are presented to Mr. Speaker for publication, to the general public to make their comments. That's why I instructed you. Concern from also the civil society. In fact, colleagues, if your paper you have in front of you, the government was key from cabinet conclusion and from cabinet proposals. There must be aware to talk to our people about this new increment involving civil society and other major players. I think we are in the same trajectory to make sure that we have a proper debate or proper ratification followed by the dictate of what we have in 2015. The SIR area is so open up to talk about transparency of the data, which we acknowledge. And Mr. Minister took note of that. All of us, as I said in previous debates, there's no perfect agreement. And Mr. Speaker said, we cannot ignore the ratified agreement in front of Parliament since 2015. Government is continuity. We should act responsibly and move in a direction that will bring all grievances on the table and will discuss them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for referring this issue to the Works Committee. Because of allegations, these are talking about now, these ones we have now about the charges. Because of these enormous allegations, as the chairman of the supervisory committee, which our mandate to make sure committee functions the best way they can, we again call on we instruct you to leave the Works Committee to look into some of these allegations, to look into them, so that Parliament can have a proper view of what is happening. Because we sometimes, if we have an agreement and we are seeing people saying things, sometimes when you check it's not correct, some of them are in there and we are not playing our role. It is time for us, Mr. Speaker, to call the Committee of Works to do essential investigation on this agreement dealing with the Tollgate, so we can just inform the public that this is the right thing to do. Mr. Speaker, I will not stop admiring members of Parliament from the 5th to the 6th in charting out our differences to come to consensus to have a proposal that the people appreciate us. I will not stop you with the pressure we put on you always. Something happened when I was in the office and we laughed over it. I see what you're doing. True from God. It's not an easy job. Somebody said, let's go to Mr. If speaker definition of youth person based on your activities, it means by inference, conclusion that the youth man will get a speaker. The parliament man. I'm not talking about Kukusama activity. I'm talking about real activities in the mind. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend you and say thank you very much for this wise decision you have taken. And taking you from your comfort zone. I went with you in the committee room 1. The environment was not that conducive enough because the temperature was high. I want to say thank you, Mr. Minister, for showing understanding and also the public. Salute you. Colleagues, can we just tap the table for the diversity of the public for their understanding? In this business, I don't want people to go outside that turn on an APC, SLP business. I don't want people to talk about that. We can go after you as Parliament. I said we have enough power, but we don't misuse our power. And we don't intend to use them excessively. We want to be a moderate Parliament, as a progressive Parliament. The Parliament chiefs have been observing us quietly. One of them told me, so too, when I take on a time when I discuss this thing to myself, when I let go talk. Parliament chiefs, you are the arbiter of what we do here. I want to say thank you very much. Thank you very much. When you speak the words from our ancestors. When you speak for our people who we don't see, or you see them always. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord continue to be with us. Thank you. All my colleagues, those who have been posting on social media, their passion, the innuendos, I think we have come to a doorstep where today Mr. Speaker has given his ruling and Mr. Minister has also been with us to show understanding. Mr. Minister, reach out to the investors. The agreement is an agreement. It is an agreement. We are not trading to the table, but we don't want to live with it in the interest of all of us. And we end the state, the people, the investor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
My thanks for the institution and the general government business for their statements. Any announcement?